Yes. Yes. Very good evening to all of you. So today I'm going to start with photosynthesis topic. আজকে কি করব? আজকে photosynthesis start করব। Hopefully আগের যে টপিকগুলো আমরা করে ফেলেছি সবকিছু ক্লিয়ার ছিল। Yes, we have already covered biomolecules topic. So the next topic we have chosen is photosynthesis. এই টপিকটা তোরা আজকে ফার্স্ট টাইম পড়ছিস না, তোরা ছোটবেলা থেকে পড়ে আসছিস। You know a little bit of idea about this topic, but আজকে আমরা যেটা পড়বো সেটা হচ্ছে একটু ডেপথে যাব। We are going to go in depth of it. ঠিক আছে? কতটা ইম্পর্টেন্স রাখে ফর ইউর নিট এক্সামিনেশন, লেট মি টেল ইউ। যদি কোনো ফ্যাকাল্টি, যদি কোনো টিচারকে বলা হয় যে একটা কোশ্চেন পেপার বানান অন নিট, অন বায়োলজি ফ্রম ক্লাস 11, যদি সে টিচার মনে করেন যে একটু টাফ পেপার করবে, তাহলে তার 1 নম্বর জায়গায় থাকবে চ্যাপ্টারের নাম ফটোসিনথেসিস। গট দ্য পয়েন্ট? তো ইউ আর গোইং টু ফেস ট্রাবল নর্মালি, এই জন্য খুব ভালো করে পড়তে হবে এটা। ঠিক আছে? এই টপিকে দুটো জিনিস আছে, একটা কনসেপচুয়াল আর কয়টা জিনিস ইনফরমেশনস মনে রাখতে হবে। সো কনসেপচুয়াল অ্যাজ ওয়েল অ্যাজ নলেজ বেসড। গট দ্য পয়েন্ট? সো ইউ নিড টু হ্যাভ বোথ কনসেপ্টস অ্যান্ড সাম অফ দ্য আইডিয়া, ইউ হ্যাভ টু কিপ ইট ইন ইউর মাইন্ড, অ্যান্ড তোকে ওটা কি করতে হবে, ওটা তোকে লিখে লিখে পড়তে হবে, সো দ্যাট ইট রিমেন্স ইন ইউর স্টেজ ইন ইউর মাইন্ড ফর লং। ঠিক আছে? আর বারবার রিপিট করতে হবে। আমি আবার বলি, যদিও ক্লাস 11-এর এই টপিকটা, again I repeat, যে তোরা কোশ্চেন সলভ করতে স্টার্ট কর। ইউর এভরিডে ইউ হ্যাভ টু স্টার্ট সলভিং কোশ্চেন্স। এটা আমার নর্মালি তোদেরকে সবাইকে বলার কথা, আজকেও আবার বলে দিলাম। সো ইটস ভেরি ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট। ইয়েস, ক্লিয়ার? ইয়েস। রোটেশন না, ঠিক আছে। রোটেশন লক হয়েছে। ইয়েস, or stuck. No, it's no issues. No issues. ঠিক আছে। ইয়া, তো যেটা বলছিলাম তোদেরকে, যে তো এই টপিকটা ইজ ভেরি ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট। ক্লিয়ার? আর যেটা বলছিলাম যে রেগুলার ওয়াইজ কোশ্চেন সলভ করতে হবে, দ্যাট শুড বি দ্য নর্মাল থট প্রসেস। ঠিক আছে? সো अंकिता, समझ में आ रहा है क्या बोला आपको कि हर डे, each day you have to solve questions. Each day you have to solve questions. Yes. Okay. So the topic is about photosynthesis. The topic is about photosynthesis. Where it has gone? The stylus. Yes. No. Just wait. Hold this. Thank you. দেখ, পাচ্ছিলাম না, স্টাইলাসটা ঘুরে গেল। Yes. Now, the topic is about photosynthesis. The topic is about photosynthesis. Now, let us first break the word meaning of it. Word meaning টা কি? Photo plus synthesis. Now, অনেকজন ভাবতে পারি স্যার এত বেসিক লেভেল থেকে, ইয়েস, এই চ্যাপ্টারটা একটু বেসিক লেভেল থেকে করলে ভালো হয়। Now, what is synthesis means? Synthesis means what? Formation. Synthesis means formation. Photo means what? বল আমার সাথে। লাইট। তাহলে কি ফর্মেশন অফ লাইট? না, ফর্মেশন অফ সামথিং in presence of light. And what is that something? What is that something? The something is glucose. কে তৈরি করে? Green plants or animals? Green plants makes it. Okay. Now, if green plants makes it, তাহলে so they are basically what? Autotroph. If green plant can make glucose, we call them what? Autotroph. Now, what is the requirement? Normally, এই glucose তৈরি করার জন্য কি requirement আছে? What is the requirement? Normally, we know from the chapter biomolecules, we already know about the topic called glucose. Glucose সম্বন্ধে আমরা জানি. We know the cyclical ring structure. We know the straight chain. Now, glucose is produced by this particular process. The chemical equation that we know now is 6CO2 plus 12H2O in presence of sunlight. And what is required? The pigment is required. Pigment এর নাম কি? Chlorophyll. কি তৈরি হচ্ছে? C6H12O6. Glucose তৈরি হচ্ছে. Along with glucose, 6 molecules of water goes off. এটা arrow উপরের দিক দিলাম. That means this gets evolved, it gets released, and 6 molecules of water. 6 molecules of water. Now, tell me the requirements one by one. Autotrophs means those who can make their own food. So who are they? They are all green plants. They are green plants. But we are going to be wrong in saying that only green plants, they are autotrophs. এর আগেও কারা ছিল? Green plants means we are talking about, very well developed plants. তার আগে কারা রান্না করেছে? Right from bacteria. Think about bacteria. There are some photosynthetic bacteria. We have already talked about them. আমরা মনেরাতে, কিংডম মনেরাতে আমরা অনেকগুলো autotrophic bacteria সম্বন্ধে পড়েছি. We have also talked about chemosynthetic bacteria বা chemoautotrophs. We have talked about them. Remember, we have talked about green sulfur bacteria. বলেছিলাম না এই কিংডম মনেরাতে? So in that case, ওরা এনার্জি কোথা থেকে পেত? সানলাইট থেকে. If we talk about chemosynthetic bacteria or chemoautotrophs, do you think they get the energy from sunlight or from chemical? তার মানে আজকে পড়ছি গ্রিন প্ল্যান্টের কথা, but when we talk about them, so we are talking about some, close to 3.5 billion years ago, when the first life took place. Is this clear? So now we know that the green plants, they have got chlorophyll. What about bacteria? What kind of chlorophyll they do have? Bacteriochlorophyll. কি ধরনের ব্যাকটেরিয়া, কি ধরনের ক্লোরোফিল ওদের আছে? Bacteriochlorophyll আছে. বুঝলাম? So clear? Now, what is this glucose? In glucose, what is present? See, over here, this is atmospheric carbon. This is atmospheric carbon dioxide. This is atmospheric carbon dioxide. So this atmospheric carbon dioxide is being fixed to make glucose. Fixed মানে absorb করেছে কেউ to make glucose. Fine? Now, in carbon dioxide, what is present? Carbon and oxygen. But in case of glucose, what you can find? What is present? Carbon, oxygen, and what is being added? Hydrogen is being added. If the hydrogen is being added, আমরা কি বলবো এটাকে? Oxidation or reduction? So what happens? Hydrogen being added over here, so this process will be called as reduction. Right? And where from this oxygen has come out? By breaking down water. So water is being oxidized. So the process will be called as oxidation. So water being oxidized to give rise to what? Oxygen. So if in a chemical reaction, oxidation and reduction takes place simultaneously, we call that process as redox reaction. কি বলবো আমরা এটাকে? Redox reaction বলবো. কোন অসুবিধা আছে? So this is the best example of redox reaction. Now, এখানে কি দরকার? একটু আমাকে হেল্প কর. What are the main things which are important, which are needed for photosynthesis? What is the source of energy in this process? Very good. The source of energy in this process, energy is sunlight. The source of energy is sunlight. Fine. In primitive atmosphere, the source of energy was UV rays. The source of energy in primitive atmosphere. In primitive atmosphere. Primitive atmosphere means যখন আমরা বলছি যখন লাইফ তৈরি হয়েছিল some 3.5 billion years ago. 3.5 billion years ago. Some 3.5 billion years ago when the life arose for the first time. Clear? তখন what was the energy? What is the source of energy? UV rays was the main source of energy because there was no atmosphere. There was no atmosphere. So atmosphere ছিল না মানে এখানে কি ছিল না? ওজন ছিল না। So no ozone মানে UV rays ঢুকতো না। UV rays চলে আসতো। UV rays was the source of energy. কোন অসুবিধা আছে একটু জায়গায়? বাট আজকের দিনে অ্যাটমসফিয়ার তৈরি হওয়ার জন্য UV rays আসছে না। So what is the source of energy now? Sunlight. So sunlight is a source of energy, but there should be somebody who is going to take the photons of this light energy, তাই না? There should be some acceptor of this sunlight. Now এই সানলাইটের কত পার্সেন্ট মাত্র গ্রিন প্ল্যান্টস এর কাছে পৌঁছায় যারা রান্না করে? What percent of the total solar energy comes down to the green plants and they absorb what percent of the solar energy? কত পার্সেন্ট সোলার এনার্জিটাকে অ্যাবজর্ব করে রান্না করার জন্য? It is 2 to 10% of the total energy is being absorbed by the green plants. And what is the wavelength of that particular sunlight? The wavelength is called as, though the wavelength is the visible wavelength of the light, and we call it PAR. We call it PAR. What is PAR? It is called as photosynthetically active radiation. Photosynthetically active radiation is the term. Photosynthetically active radiation is the term. Fine. Got the point? Do you have class 12 book now? Open it. Go to the last ecosystem topic. Second last chapter of class 12. Ecosystem topic. Yes. In this page. Ecosystem. And go to the page number 209. Page number 209 of class 12. You find out over there, is this written PAR? Can you see 2 to 10% of the total solar energy is being accepted by the green plants to make the food? Yes, so mark for contact. Here, and see 2 to 10% is being written over there. So it's very, very important of class 12. You can see the same topic. Okay, so I think you have got it. Now this is called photosynthetic active radiation. Now it ranges between what 390 nanometer to close to 700 nanometer. 390 to 700 nanometer. This is the wavelength of the light which is being accepted by the green plants. Now who's going to tell me কে absorb করে? Chlorophyll absorb করে। কে absorb করে? Chlorophyll absorb করে। তাহলে এখন অবধি আমরা কি পেলাম? What are the requirements for photosynthesis? Come on. কি পেলাম এতক্ষণ? আমরা এখন অবধি পেলাম requirements for photosynthesis. Number 1 is sunlight, you said. And then number 2 is chlorophyll, you said. Very good. Is a green colored pigment. Chlorophyll, you said, is a green color pigment. আর কি লাগতে পারে? Atmospheric carbon dioxide লেগেছে? Atmospheric carbon dioxide is needed. Yes. লাগবে না? তাহলে কাকে রিডিউস করে গ্লুকোজ তৈরি করা হবে? Atmospheric carbon dioxide is needed because we know that this carbon dioxide is being reduced to give rise to C6H12O6. So hydrogen has to be added with this carbon dioxide when only this glucose is going to get formed. তাই তো? তাহলে এই গ্লুকোজটা তৈরি হচ্ছে কার্বন ডাইঅক্সাইডের রিডাকশনের জন্য। So is the reduction which occurs over here. Any issues? বুঝলাম না বুঝেছি? আশিস না খুশি। Very good. So this is carbon dioxide which is treated. আর কিছু দরকার আছে? ওয়াটার দরকার? আচ্ছা ওয়াটার কেন দরকার? Why water is required? Hydrogen. So what is the source of hydrogen? So water acts as the source of hydrogen. Water acts as a source of hydrogen in, let me clarify, in higher plants. So why I need to mention, আমাকে মেনশন কেন করতে হলো যে এরা হায়ার প্ল্যান্টসে হাইড্রোজেনের সোর্স ইজ ওয়াটার, বিকজ ইন ব্যাকটেরিয়া some of the bacteria called chemoautotrophs, they can make their food, but not the source of hydrogen over there is not water, but over there the source of hydrogen is hydrogen sulfide. The source of hydrogen is hydrogen sulfide in some bacteria. And what is that bacteria called? Green sulfur bacteria or sulfur bacteria. বুঝলাম? তাহলে যখনই আমরা বলবো হায়ার প্ল্যান্টের কথা, তখন water is going to be the source of hydrogen. What is going to be the source of hydrogen? Any issues? If any one of them is not there, do you think photosynthesis হবে? If any one of them is not there, do you think photosynthesis হবে? No. If photosynthesis is not going to occur, do you think we are going to be able to survive? And tell me the reason why. Because this glucose, which is produced by the green plants, is called as respiratory fuel of life. It's called as respiratory fuel of life. I'm talking about life. That means even bacteria needs glucose to perform. Even bacteria needs glucose to perform. Even bacteria needs glucose in order to get energy and infect you. So তোর তো লাগেই, even bacteriaরও গ্লুকোজ লাগে. So that is why respiratory fuel of life is glucose. তাহলে glucose, why it is called respiratory fuel of life? Because if glucose is being broken down, in presence of oxygen, it's going to yield what? Carbon dioxide ছাড়বে and 6 molecules of water. Along with that, 686 kilocalorie of energy is going to come out, and which is corresponds to 38 ATP molecules. So one molecule of glucose can fetch you how many ATP molecules? 38 ATP molecules. So glucose ভাঙলে আমরা এনার্জি পাবো। তোরা এখন বসে শুনছিস তোর brain cells is needing glucose. Now, right now, 60% of your total blood pumped by the heart is moving towards what? Leg, back muscles, your hand, you are writing something, or in your brain. कौन सा organ का काम कर रहे हो अभी अंकिता? Brain. 60% of your blood supply is right now towards your brain. So, brain needs glucose to work. You're utilizing the glucose. And if I take the class for 5 hours, you're going to feel what? Energetic? Huh? Yes? Oh. আমাকে ভালো বললি, ভালো লাগলো। Yes. So you're going to feel, sir, rest হলে ভালো হয়। You know why? Because you need what? You're utilizing the glucose. Now think about it. Okay? Great. Now, so these are the requirements. I'm just showing you one particular thing, and that is, তাহলে waterটা, that waterটা ভাঙে H2O plus say this X. So this hydrogen will be given to this X. Fine, and O2 is going to come out. So water over here, the hydrogen source is what? It comes down over here to X and makes XH plus O2 gets released. Fine. And what happens after this? This XH binds with carbon dioxide to give rise to what? Glucose. To give rise to glucose. Fine. Now, if you understand what is this particular XH which provides hydrogen to the glucose, this XH is sometimes, it is in majority of the cases, it is NADPH2. What is NADPH2 in class? In biomolecular topic, we have talked about that. In biomolecular topic, we have talked about NADPH2. What is NADPH2? Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. Remember, we have talked about coenzymes, NAD and FAD. So this particular, what happens? This acts as a, what happens during this? Reduction occurs. We're going to talk about this reduction process during light reaction. We are going to talk about that during light reaction. Fine. Light reaction. I think you have heard about light reaction and dark reaction through Register. You know? So light reaction and dark reaction, I think you have heard about this. So আমরা ওইদিকে যাব পরে, আগে এইখানটা একটু বুঝে নিই about photosynthesis. Let's get into the basic idea about photosynthesis. Eto clear? Kono oshubidha ache eta? So let us get into some of the details which your NCERT has given it to you. Tarpore amra light reaction, dark reaction, we are going to go in depth of it. Yes. So, yes. Yes. What is written over here? Photosynthesis is a physico-chemical process. What is written over there? Photosynthesis is a physico-chemical process. Physico-chemical process. Mind you that. Fine. It's not a biological process or a biological process. What is reproduction? Reproduction is a biological process. Na baba erokom kichu bola jabe na ekhane. So what is photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is a physico-chemical process or photobiochemical process. Because photo has to be there. What is photo? Light process. And this is an anabolic process. And endergonic. What is anabolic? Any type of constructive activity is called anabolic process. What is constructive activity? It helps in a biosynthesis of something. It helps in the biosynthesis of something. It helps in formation of something good. And what is that? What is the good thing? It's the glucose, the respiratory fuel of life. So that is why it is called anabolic process. Now breakdown of glucose ke ki bolbo amra? Opposite of anabolic is what? Catabolic process. Respiration is what kind of process? Catabolic process. And what about anabolic process? Photosynthesis is the best example of anabolic process because photosynthesis দ্বারা কি তৈরি হচ্ছে? Glucose তৈরি হচ্ছে। চলো। Now, so organic compound carbohydrates are synthesized from inorganic raw material. So what is the inorganic raw material? देखो बन क्या रहा है? Organic compound तैयारी होच्छे, that is carbohydrate, that is glucose, by the help of the inorganic raw material that is water and carbon dioxide. In presence of light and pigments. In presence of light and pigments. So what are the raw materials required? The raw materials or inorganic material are carbon dioxide and water. And light is required and some pigments are required. What are the pigments? Chlorophyll are the pigments. Any issues? Etu jaga clear ache? Great. Yes? Yeah. Dr. Treya Dash. Yes, Babu, I can Kolani theke porte jetam Gurukule. Very good, very good. Dr. Treya, how are you? Khub bhalo laglo. Dr. Treya, khub bhalo laglo baba. খুব ভালো লাগে যখন পুরনো স্টুডেন্ট এরকম ভাবে কন্টাক্টে থাকে ভেরি গুড হাউ ইউ আর ডুইং ভেরি গুড ওয়েল ডান দত্তাত্রেয়া ইয়েস আমার মনে আছে তোকে ইয়েস O2 is evolved as a byproduct. See, O2 is evolved as a byproduct. And where from O2 has come? See, from water the oxygen has come out. And so what is this process called? This process is oxidation. This process is oxidation. Fine. Now, আচ্ছা এখানে আর কি হতে পারে? আরটা ভাবতেই পারি তো এই কার্বন ডাইঅক্সাইডটা এখানে এসেছে, এই কার্বন ডাইঅক্সাইডের মধ্যে যে অক্সিজেনটা এসেছে সেটা এখানে এসেছে, ভাবতেই পারতাম না? এটা কোনো টেস্ট নিয়ে বোঝা যাচ্ছে যে নো, the oxygen which evolves has come out from the water. That experiment আমরা বলবো. We will talk about that experiment also. Fine. Now, carbon dioxide has been reduced to give rise to what? Glucose. So এখানে কি বলবো আমরা এটাকে? We are going to call this as reduction. We are going to call this as reduction process. Okay. The first photosynthetic organism are bacteria. See, the first photosynthetic organisms are bacteria, but first true and oxygenic photosynthesis started in cyanobacteria. Now, what is the meaning of oxygenic photosynthesis? You tell me, what is the meaning of that? Oxygenic photosynthesis mane ki? In the presence of oxygen. Do you think oxygen is required in photosynthesis? What is the meaning of oxygenic photosynthesis, Ayushi?
When oxygen is released.
Very good. When oxygen is released. And when are you going to have oxygen as a released product? When you break down what? Water. But if you replace water with H2S, Do you think oxygen is going to get evolved? তাহলে ওটাই কি অক্সিজেনিক হবে না অ্যানঅক্সিজেনিক ফটোসিনথেসিস হবে? বল, বুঝলাম না। তাহলে H2S যারা ইউজ করে তারা হচ্ছে গ্রিন সালফার ব্যাকটেরিয়া। আর গ্রিন সালফার ব্যাকটেরিয়া কেম ফার্স্ট বিফোর সায়ানোব্যাকটেরিয়া which came later, কারণ কেমোসিনথেটিক ব্যাকটেরিয়া আগে এসেছিল, তারপরে ফটোসিনথেটিক ব্যাকটেরিয়া পরে এসেছিল। বল, বুঝলাম না। ক্লিয়ার? বিকজ there were no free oxygen. Free oxygen ছিল না in primitive atmosphere. Oxygen remained in the form of this. It was arrested. কি বলা হয়েছিল অক্সিজেনকে? You are under arrest. So O2, molecular O2 was not there in primitive atmosphere. কে করলো প্রথমে অক্সিজেনটাকে? কে রিলিজ করলো প্রথমে? It was when this blue-green algae came into play. That is when they have utilized the water, broke it down into, oxidized it into what? Into oxygen. বুঝলাম? Then only in that water body বুড়বুড়ির মতন O2 বেরিয়ে আসলো, and that particular O2 is a molecular O2. And think about, आपके पास gills है, you have got lungs, and by the help of lungs, what kind of oxygen you are uptaking? You are taking in for your respiration process. What is that? How can you prove it? आपके in your embryonic stage, in the fetal stage, आपको देखने में कैसा था बाबा? We have already covered in animal kingdom. This is your fetal stage. Come on, ये था क्या? Pharyngeal gill slits. क्यों था? Ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. आपका evolutionary history. What is phylogeny? Evolutionary history recapitulates your developmental history. Sorry, ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. What is ontogeny? It is a developmental history. It recapitulates what? Your evolutionary history. आपका development हो रहा है अभी, but आप किसको याद रख रहे हो? Why still you are having nictitating membrane as a vestigial organ? स्विमिंग पूल में नामले की कोरिश, what you do? You take goggles. भगवान ने आपको तो बॉर्न गॉगल्स दे दिया था, आपको पसंद नहीं आया। अभी भी वो है आपके आंखों में in the form of what? Vestigial organ, nictitating membrane. That means what? Once we were inside water bodies. Okay. Chalo. So now, समझ आ गया? So what is the first oxygenic? See, first photosynthetic organisms are bacteria, but first true and oxygenic photosynthesis started in blue-green algae. Any issues about that? Because they utilized what? Water or hydrogen sulfide? I'm talking about blue-green algae. ওরা যদি অক্সিজেনিক ফটোসিনথেসিসে হেল্প করে, তার মানে অক্সিজেন রিলিজ করছে। অক্সিজেন রিলিজ করার জন্য হাইড্রোজেন সালফাইডকে ভাঙবে না ওয়াটারকে ভাঙবে? ভেরি গুড, গট দ্য পয়েন্ট। এনি ইস্যুজ অ্যাবাউট দিস টপিক? সো ক্যান উই গেট ইনটু দ্য নেক্সট স্লাইড? যেতে পারি, আমরা এগোতে পারি? চলো। সো carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. Is demonstrated by half-leaf experiment. Now, কি লাগবে তার উপরে অনেকগুলো এক্সপেরিমেন্টস আছে। And mind you, experiment गुलो मैक्सिमम स्टूडेंट मोने থাকে না। समझ में आ गया? ये याद नहीं रहता है। तो बोलो, ये क्या टीचर नहीं जानते? टीचर नहीं जानते हैं, वो भी तो एक दिन स्टूडेंट थे, तो उनको भी तो याद नहीं रहता था। तो उनको क्वेश्चन दिया जाए तो वो कहां से करेंगे? एक्सपेरिमेंट से क्वेश्चन करेंगे, ताकि आप नहीं कर पाओ। आर यू गेटिंग मी? सो इट्स वेरी सो এই জন্য খুব ভালো করে শুনুন। The first thing is the carbon dioxide is essential. This has already been proven. That carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. Is demonstrated by half-leaf experiment by moles. The scientist? Moles. Half-leaf experiment. In this experiment, a part of leaf is enclosed. It is enclosed in a test tube containing some KOH soaked cotton. Say this is the leaf. Say this is the leaf. Say this is the leaf. Fine. And this is the leaf. And this leaf is present where? In a particular tube where KOH is present. Now the leaf, and this is sunlight. Come on, ছোট বড় কি রে ছোটবেলা পড়তি না এরকম? কি রে সানলাইটটা তো এরকম হতো, একটা ছোট একটা বড় একটা ছোট একটা বড়। So this is sunlight. আবার বানাদি না এরকম? কি রে? Yes, sunlight. So when this sunlight falls over here in both the leaf, ultimately it's going to make what? কি বানাবে? কি বানাবে? Glucose বানাবে? आप बोलो क्या? What it is going to release? What it is going to absorb first? Atmospheric carbon dioxide. This one is going to absorb atmospheric carbon dioxide and fix it and fix carbon dioxide into what? Absorb carbon dioxide and ultimately make what? Glucose. And with the liberation of, you know, what? Oxygen and water is going to come out. Clear? That we do know. But this carbon dioxide will be accepted by something that you still don't know. There must be some carbon dioxide acceptor. আমরা ওই লেভেলে যাচ্ছি না এখনো। So, and that carbon dioxide acceptor is RUBP. And we have talked about this in biomolecule topic. Tell me the full form. No, ribulose bisphosphate. Ribulose bisphosphate. কটা কার্বন আছে? Ribulose bisphosphate. It's a sugar. How many carbon? Ribulose contains 5 carbon compound. It's a 5 carbon compound. Is this aldose or ketosis? It's a pentose sugar. দেখ বায়োমলিকুলটা কতটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট দেখ। তুই বায়োমলিকুল ছেড়ে অন্য কোনো টপিকে যেতে পারবি না, মুখস্থ করতে হয়, বুঝবি না, which you should avoid. Ribulose-টা aldose না ketosis? It's a ketosis. Aldose এর এক্সাম্পল কি ছিল? পেন্টোজ সুগারে রাইবোজ এন্ড ডিঅক্সিরাইবোজ সুগার, ribose and deoxyribose sugar. Clear? Okay. So this is the carbon dioxide acceptor. So अब देखो, what is the function of KOH? KOH is not going to allow carbon dioxide. It's going to soak carbon dioxide. तो इस beaker में और इस test tube में, if this leaf is being kept in this test tube where KOH is there, carbon dioxide के वो absorb कर लेंगे. So tell me, if there is no carbon dioxide, do you think the process is going to occur? Do you think photosynthesis is possible? কি রে, কার্বন ডাইঅক্সাইড নেই, কাকে ফিক্স করবে, কাকে অ্যাবজর্ব করে, কাকে রিডাকশন করে গ্লুকোজ তৈরি হবে? Do you think glucose is going to form? And half leaf means half of it was there inside the beaker. Then that is called half leaf experiment. And who made it? Moles. In this experiment, a part of leaf is enclosed in a test tube containing some KOH soaked cotton. KOH absorbs carbon dioxide. So what is the specialty of KOH? Potassium hydroxide. What is the specialty of it? It can absorb carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide nahi hai. Process is not going to start. So there is no glucose formation. There is no oxygen release. While the other half is exposed to air. Other half of this leaf is exposed to air. So যেটুকু এক্সপোজ করবে সেটুকু কি তৈরি করবে? গ্লুকোজ তৈরি করবে। গ্লুকোজ তৈরি করলে ও কি করবে? গ্লুকোজ তৈরি করলে ও স্টার্চ তৈরি হবে, স্টার্চ টেস্টে ওর পজিটিভ হবে। তাহলে হাফ লিফ ইজ নট গোইং টু, তাই না? সো এই যদি লিফ হয়, if this is the leaf, after it is being kept over here, say half of this was kept inside and half of this was exposed. তাহলে রান্না কে করেছে? গ্লুকোজ কে রান্না করেছে? এটা করেছে তো, কিন্তু এখানে কার্বন ডাইঅক্সাইড পেয়েছে। So starch यहाँ पे बना नहीं बना? No starch. And if the starch test, starch कहाँ पे है? एखाने आते starch. Starch is present over here. So in the starch test, के देवे? Who is going to give the starch test? नीचे वाला? The part which was there inside KOH or the exposed part? This part is not going to give rise to any starch test. It's not going to give rise to. It's not going to respond to starch test. बुझलाम ना? Clear? So the presence of starch will be there in the exposed area. Vishal, are you getting me? Clear? Fine. So let's find out. Should I get into the next one? Yes. This was the experiment. Fine. You tell me. This is twig intact with a plant. Like that. This is the half part of the leaf. This is potassium hydroxide, KOH. This is KOH. Half leaf inserted inside. This part of the leaf, there is no carbon dioxide, so no photosynthesis, no formation of glucose, no starch. Fine? So this part is having no starch. But what about the exposed area? Experiment to prove that carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide is necessary for? So over here, what is being proved? That carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. any issues? বুঝলাম না clear? Can we carry on? Yes. So এখান থেকে বুঝলাম potassium hydroxide. Now experiment number 1, to show that chlorophyll is necessary. For photosynthesis. Take a plant with variegated leaves. What is the meaning of variegated leaf? Now understand. Variegated leaf means ki? A particular leaf is having some of the portion as non-green, some of the portion as non-green, and some of the portion as green. Create a non-green. You can see the color. And badbaki color ta kemon? Badbaki is green. Clear? This is green portion. Okay? This is green portion. The green portion, why it is green? Tell me. Due to the presence of what? Chlorophyll. So this is a variegated leaf. Clear? What is variegated leaf? In the leaf there are some non-green part and some green part. Ranna ki korbe? Chlorophyll thakle ranna korbe. Tale ei portion ta ki korbe na? Ranna korbe na. It's not going to make glucose. So example of this leaf is coleus leaf, geranium, and croton. These are the name of the leaves that you have used in the experiment. Kinam? Coleus, geranium, and croton. De-starch the leaves by keeping the plant in a dark room for few days. If you keep the leaf in a dark room or the plant in the dark room, no photosynthesis. So starch is not going to form. Place the plant in the sun. Now, place the plant in the sun. After a few hours, pluck one leaf. Take one leaf. Make its outline on paper and mark the green and non-green areas. Mark the green and non-green areas on the outline. Test the leaf for starch. Only the green parts of the leaf turns bluish. Remember starch test? We have done that in biomolecule topic. Bluish. It comes down to starch test. It turns blue. The presence of starch turns iodine test. Turns blue. Remember? Clear? Now turns bluish, showing the presence of starch. So test the leaf for starch. Only the green parts of the leaf turns bluish. Tale green part ki chilo? What was the specialty in the green part? Chlorophyll was present. So chlorophyll is needed for photosynthesis. Without chlorophyll, non-green part is not going to be able to make photosynthesis. Glucose তৈরি করতে পারবে না, starch test এ নেগেটিভ চলে আসবে। বুঝলাম? starch নিয়ে কোনো ডাউট আছে? বুঝতে পারছিস না কোথায় পড়িয়েছিলাম? Go to the biomolecule topic. Go to the carbohydrate topic of biomolecule. Give me the book. বায়োমলিকুলটাকে ভালো করে পড় বাবা। Biomolecule is the basis. Yes. Page number 110. Starch forms helical secondary structures. Remember that helical structure attacks on the iodine. কিরে এরকম একটা ফিগার বানিয়েছিলাম। হ্যাঁ? In fact, starch can hold I2 molecules, iodine molecules in the helical. The starch iodine, I2 is bluish in color. Cellulose does not contain complex. Starch contains complex helical structure. Remember, আমি এরকম বানিয়েছিলাম। Remember, I made this kind of structure, and this structure are helical, and their branch. This part is called amylose. This part is called amylopectin in starch. The amylose, they have got helical structure, and these helical structure can bind with iodine, and that's why it can give starch test positive. Great. Iodine test এটা because it attacks on the iodine. এই helical structure মধ্যে iodine-টাকেও attack করে নেয়। Amylose and amylopectin together make starch. ঠিক আছে? Okay. So this is going to help in what? This is going to help in understanding of what chlorophyll is needed for photosynthesis. তাহলে এখন অবধি কি পড়লাম? খুশি? কি রিকোয়ারমেন্ট করলাম আমরা? What are the experiments we have done? पहला experiment क्या था? To prove carbon dioxide is Needed for photosynthesis. The second experiment what we have done, chlorophyll is needed for photosynthesis. See, this is green part and this is green part. So green part is going to give rise to what? Blue-black color of iodine test. Experiment number 2. To show that sunlight is necessary for photosynthesis. What is required? Sunlight is the third requirement. Sunlight is required for photosynthesis. Acha, take a plant with a discharged leaves. Discharged leaves করার জন্য আনুষ্কা কি করতে হবে? You have to keep the plant for few days. Where? In dark room. তাহলে discharge হয়ে যাবে। ও photosynthesis করতে রান্না করতে পাবে না। Cover one of its leaves with black paper. Fine? With black paper on which a design is cut. I will help you understand. A design is being cut. A black paper মাঝখানে পুরো স্টারের মতন শেপ করেছিস। Clear? It's something like that. I will show you. Place this plant in the sun. দেখি ডায়াগ্রামটা definitely থাকার কথা। See, this is a black paper. This is a black paper, fine. And you have cut it in such a way that এখান থেকে light ঢুকতে পারবে. Got the point? So light कहाँ पे जा पाएगा? इस star shape structure से जा पाएगा. So वो फिर से क्या बनाएगा? Glucose बनाएगा. So glucose बनाएगा तो it is going to turn what? Iodine test blue black. That means starch is produced by the help of what? Sunlight. And dark color in the dark zone where the black paper, this leaf is being covered by black paper, সেই জায়গাতে কি হচ্ছে না? Starch তৈরি হচ্ছে না. Starch is not being produced. Ankita, is this clear? So starch नहीं produce होगा तो क्या होगा? It is not going to give rise to any blue black color. So the blue black color will be given in this part of the leaf. Any issues? কোন অসুবিধা আছে? The third experiment কি বললাম? First carbon dioxide, second chlorophyll, third we have got the idea that sunlight is required for photosynthesis. Clear? Right. Experiment 4. To show that oxygen is produced during photosynthesis. To show that oxygen is produced during photosynthesis. Now, these are very basics. Now think about ki hoy, how we are going to understand that oxygen is produced during photosynthesis. Place some water plant, Elodia and or Hydrilla. Hydrilla plant is a aquatic plant in a beaker containing pond water and cover them by a short stemmed funnel. Short stemmed funnel is something like this. দেখি ডায়াগ্রামটা আছে কিনা ডেফিনেটলি থাকার কথা। Yes, this is it. Fine. This is Hydrilla plant, okay? This plant is Hydrilla plant. And see, you can see the bubbles coming up. What are these bubbles? Carbon dioxide or oxygen? Why? Oxygen is evolving out. Come on. Why oxygen is evolving out? Sir, because carbon dioxide is being fixed. Carbon dioxide is being fixed by the carbon dioxide acceptor, and it binds with the water in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. Is going to make what? Glucose plus what is going to get evolved? क्या निकल आएगा? Oxygen is going to come out along with water. Is this clear? So ये देखो यहाँ से ये oxygen bubble start हो गया और वो वहाँ पे अटक गया और देखो ओखाने ये गैसটা গিয়ে ধরে ফেলছে ওখানটায়. So this is the experiment which shows that oxygen is given out due to photosynthesis. আমি একটু আগে বলছিলাম না সায়ানোব্যাকটেরিয়া গুলো ছিল প্রিমিটিভ অ্যাটমসফিয়ারে when there was completely reducing atmosphere, it was not an oxidizing atmosphere during primitive atmosphere. তাই না? তখন কি হয়েছিল? তখন first time blue green algae by the process of photosynthesis could start to make what? Make oxygen. What kind of oxygen? Molecular oxygen. Fine. So তারপরে কি হলো? রিডিউসিং অ্যাটমসফিয়ার থেকে কি তৈরি হলো আস্তে আস্তে করে? After reducing atmosphere, what is the atmosphere we got? Oxidizing atmosphere. We got oxidizing atmosphere. কোনো অসুবিধা আছে এটুকু? Any issues about this? So what are the 4 steps, 4 particular experiments we have done? First is about, tell me, carbon dioxide is required for photosynthesis. Second, chlorophyll is required. Third, sunlight is required. Fourth, oxygen is produced during photosynthesis. কোনো অসুবিধা আছে বাবা? Great. So come down to the early experiments. The experiments which are most important. There are a lot of other সায়েন্টিস্ট, কিন্তু আমাদের এনসিইআরটির বাইরে যেতেই পারি আমরা, ওটা ভালো লাগবে, বাট ফর নিট এক্সামিনেশন আমরা এটা এগোতে পারবো না। ফার্স্ট হচ্ছে জোসেফ প্রিসলি। কি নাম? জোসেফ প্রিসলি। In 1770, he performed a series of experiments that showed the essential role of air in the growth of green plants. Fine. Priestley discovered O2 in 1774. He experimented with mint plant. Experimented with the mint plant. Fine. Priestley observed that a candle, थोड़ा बुक में देखो, आपके डायग्राम है वहां पे, see in the book, a candle burning in a closed space. खुशी बोलो, closed space में कैंडल जलेगा। कैंडल को जलने के लिए क्या चाहिए? ऑक्सीजन चाहिए, ठीक है? तो क्लोज्ड बेल जार है, वो ढका हुआ है, वहां पे कैंडल है अंदर। सी द फिगर ओवर देयर, फाइन। एंड अ बेल जार सून गेट्स एक्सटिंग्विश्ड। क्या होगा? वो कैंडल कुछ देर के बाद क्या होगा? बंद हो जाएगा। क्यों बंद होगा? ऑक्सीजन नहीं मिलेगा। क्या रीच हो गया वहां पे? CO2 रीच हो गया। फाइन। Similarly, a mouse would soon suffocate in a closed space, है ना? वहीं पे उसी बेल जार के अंदर अगर माउस को रख दिया और आप कैंडल जला रहे हो, what is going to happen to that particular mouse? The mouse is going to get suffocated and it's going to die. See, CO2 जोड़ने मारा गया। तो अच्छा, माउस को बचने के लिए क्या चाहिए अंकिता? माउस क्या लेता है, क्या छोड़ता है? अच्छा, और संग में कौन उसको बढ़ावा दे रहा है? पास में कैंडल जला हुआ है। कैंडल भी क्या ले रहा है जलने के लिए? वो भी ऑक्सीजन ले रहा है। तो क्या छोड़ रहा है वो? तो बेल जार को बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, तो क्या होगा अल्टीमेटली? द माउस इज गोइंग टू डाई। आर यू गेटिंग मी? Suffocation. So that is it. Now he concluded that a burning candle or an animal that breathed the air both somehow damage the air. Both somehow damage the air. What is called damaging the air? Introducing what inside the air? Carbon dioxide. Now, but when he placed a mint plant, देखो एक mint plant उस बेल जार में प्लेस कर दिया। अब खुशी क्या होने वाला है बोलो, थोड़ा समझाओ। मैं समझाने के पहले आप समझाओ। mint plant क्या लेगा, क्या छोड़ेगा? कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड कहां से मिला उसको? माउस से मिला और कैंडल से मिला। बोलो, हो गया ना? माउस जिएगा नहीं जिएगा? कैंडल जलेगा नहीं जलेगा? बेल जार को अच्छा लगेगा खराब लगेगा? अच्छा, वेरी गुड। बट व्हेन ही प्लेस्ड द mint plant in the same bell jar, he found that mouse stayed alive. Mouse stayed alive, and the candle continued to burn. কিরে কি প্রুফ হলো এখান থেকে? mint plant releases oxygen, absorbs, fixes carbon dioxide. Clear? So this was the experiment by Joseph Priestley. It's very, very important. Very, very important. And because they're in your NCERT, bolo, could be important hoega. Clear? Can we proceed? Yes. Sure. Next. Priestley hypothesis. Plants restore. In NCERT, there is a term called restore. Mind you the term, restore. Priestley said the plants restore to the air whatever breathing animals and burning candles remove. So whatever is being removed, who is going to restore it? Plants are going to restore it. This was the hypothesis by Joseph Priestley. Clear? Any issues about this? Very good. আমরা এটা করার পরে কিছু কোশ্চেনস করব, আবার ব্যাক করব। ফাইন। He used similar setup. কে এবার? Jan Ingenhouse. Jan Ingenhouse. There is a slight difference between Priestley and Ingenhouse. There is a slight difference. আমি বলার পর তোরা বলবি ডিফারেন্সটা কি ছিল। Priestley কি বললো? It restores the quality of the air, because the quality of air comes down by what? By the presence of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, the quality of air, right? So that's why the green plants can restore the quality of air. That was the statement by, or hypothesis by Joseph Priestley. Jan Ingenhouse, उसने क्या किया? What he introduced? এখানে কি করেছে দেখ। Ingenhouse showed that sunlight is essential to the plant. Sunlight is into the plant process. That somehow purifies the air fouled by burning candles or breathing animals. सो किसका इंपॉर्टेंस दे दिया? सनलाइट का प्रेजेंस दे दिया, सनलाइट का इंपॉर्टेंस। আমরা কার কথা ভাবছিলাম in case of Joseph Priestley? Who was the real hero in that experiment? Plant was the real hero who saved both of them, like candle কে বুঝতে বন্ধ হতে দিল না আর মাউস কে মরতে দিল না। তো who was the hero? Mint. তখন আমরা সানলাইটের কথা বলিনি। Jan Hinton said sunlight is essential to the plant process that somehow purifies the air fouled by burning candles or breathing animals. Ingenhousz experimented with an aquatic plant and showed in bright sunlight small bubbles were formed around the green parts, while in the dark they did not. Later he identified that these bubbles to be of oxygen. bolo samajh mein aaya kya? bol bujhlo na bujhlam na? তাহলে সানলাইট রিকোয়ার্ড কি করে বুঝলো? সানলাইট দিল, ডার্ক এরিয়া দিয়ে অক্সিজেন বেরোলো না, বাট লাইটেড রিজিয়ন দিয়ে অক্সিজেন বেরোলো। সো লাইট ওয়াজ নিডেড ফর হোয়াট? photosynthesis. That was a proof given by Jan Ingenhousz. Fine. এটা তো বুঝলি না? এটা বুঝেছিস? say this is sunlight, say this is sunlight and this is sunlight. Again choto boro sunlight. Okay, sunlight. And this is what? This is a beaker, and this beaker is this part is being completely এটাকে ঢেকে রাখা হয়েছে with a black paper. And the plant is present over here. The plant is present over here. এখানে plant আছে, এখানেও আছে, এখানেও leaf আছে. Come on. And this is aquatic plant. And oxygen bubbles are coming out from here. Not from here. Why? Because sunlight is going to help the oxygen bubble to come out. So Jan Ingenhousz key differentiate করেছে, the quality of air gets improved but by the help of sunlight. The quality of air gets improved by the help of sunlight. What is called improvement? Removal of carbon dioxide and addition of oxygen. Is this clear? Very good. Clear বাবু ইনগেনহাউজের কথাটা? চলে নেক্সট যে ভদ্রলোক আসলেন তার নাম হচ্ছে জুলিয়াস ভন স্যাক্স। In 1854, মানে ওটা 1770 কথা বলছিলাম, now in 1854, close to 80 years later, Sachs provided evidence for production of glucose. When the plants grow, Sachs found that the green parts in plants is where glucose is formed. The green parts এর মধ্যে গ্লুকোজ তৈরি হয়। কে বলছে এটা? জুলিয়াস ভন স্যাক্স। Fine. And glucose is usually stored as starch. একটু আগে আমরা এক্সপেরিমেন্ট করেছি এটা। Okay, done. Now, his later studies showed that the green substance in plants, that is chlorophyll, as we know it now, is located in the special bodies. They are present in special bodies. What is that special bodies? They are present inside the cell organelle named chloroplast. Can anybody in this class can tell me chloroplast আর mitochondria মধ্যে একটা commonness আছে? What is the similarity between chloroplast and mitochondria? Double membrane. Very good. Double membrane. Any other thing which is common? Both of the cell only are having double membrane. Very good. Any other commonness that they have? Both of them, they have got their own DNA and own ribosome. Both of them, they have got their own DNA and own ribosome. बुझली? They have got their own DNA and own ribosome. मतलब खाना बनाने के लिए मम्मी को बुलाएंगे नहीं वो। मम्मी कौन है? न्यूक्लियस। और ये कहाँ पे है? माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया एंड क्लोरोप्लास्ट কোথায় আছে? সাইটোপ্লাজমে আছে। ওরা মাকে ডাকতে যাবে না ঘরে গিয়ে, মা খাবো খিদে পেয়েছে। তোর রাত দুটো অবধি পড়াশোনা করছিস, which I never recommend. এবার তোর খিদে পেয়ে গেছে, তুই কি মাকে ডাকবি? মা হচ্ছে ডিএনএ, নিউক্লিয়ার ডিএনএ, হ্যাঁ? And you are non-nuclear DNA. তুই কি করেছিস? In your room, study room, you have kept an open a microwave, induction cooking, যেখানে 2 minutes এর নুডল তুই বানিয়ে নিতে পারবি, এইটুকু নলেজ আছে, এইটুকু তোর নলেজ আছে। This is your DNA. This is your DNA which you know how to make the noodles. बोलो, रात को बुलाया आपने न्यूक्लियस को? हाँ, चलो जागो, खाना बनाओ नहीं. So you are what? Semi autonomous organelle. आप कौन हो? आप mitochondria हो and you are chloroplast. And that's why both of them are called semi autonomous organelle. Let's find out. He found that the green parts in plants is where glucose is made. কিরে green plant এ glucose তৈরি হবে আর ওখান থেকে ultimately starch তৈরি হবে and it is going to stay positive about starch test. It's going to give positive about starch. Glucose is usually stored as starch, and starch, it attacks on iodine and it is going to give you what color? Blue, black color. Blue, black color. Clear in iodine test. Any issues about Julius Van Sachs? Okay. T.W. Engelmann. Next is what? T.W. Engelmann. I think we have talked about T.W. Engelmann. আগেও পড়িয়েছিলাম আমরা T.W. Engelmann. কখন পড়িয়েছিলাম রে? মনেরা পড়াতে গিয়ে, ব্যাকটেরিয়া পড়াতে গিয়ে মনে হয় না? ক্ল্যাডোফোরা পড়াতে গিয়ে, তাই না? ক্ল্যাডোফোরা, that is green algae পড়াতে গিয়ে c to the power 4 SUV. Remember, the green algae is c to the power SUV. c to the power 4 SUV. Do you remember what is that? c to the power 4 কি? Come on. Chlamydomonas is a green algae. Chlamydomonas, then Chara, then Chlorella, then Cladophora. So it's a filamentous algae. Cladophora is a filamentous algae. সঙ্গে কারা কারা আছে? Spirogyra, Eulothrix, Volvox. Remember? Okay. So he started experimentation with the Cladophora. That কি করেছে? He split light. Engelmann split light into its spectral components. What is called spectral components? If you allow the light, to fall on the plant, but or সামনে if you keep the prism, কিরে হ্যাঁ কিরে মনে আছে এই ব্যাপারটা? মনে আছে তোরে? হ্যাঁ, চল আবার একটা সুন্দর ছোট বড় বানাই. আচ্ছা, চোখ বানাই. Yes. Now this sunlight aligned to fall on this particular test tube where you have kept the Cladophora. This is a filamentous algae. It's a filamentous algae. Clear? Cladophora. It's a filamentous algae. This is filamentous algae called Cladophora. Okay. This is green algae. This is green algae. And the moment the light falls over here, into spectral components, into V, I, B, G, Y, O, R. And what is being kept over here? Some of the aerobic bacteria. Are present over here. Kire? Aerobic bacteria. That means they are going to love what? Oxygen. And what was found? That aerobic bacteria, they concentrated on the blue region and red region. Why? Because the oxygen were coming up from the blue light wavelength and red light wavelength. কিরে বুঝলাম না? তাহলে এই ব্যাকটেরিয়া গুলো অ্যাকুমুলেট করে গেল ব্লু জোনে আর রেড জোনে. এখান থেকে টি.ডব্লিউ. এঙ্গেলম্যান বুঝিয়ে দিল যে গ্রিন অ্যালগি they do their best in which wavelength? Blue and red wavelength. বল বুঝলাম না? And in that there is a graph in your book where the amount of oxygen comes out more, called as action spectrum. That দুটো হাইক পাবি, দুটো পিক পাবি. I'm going to show you that. So if this is the thing, you can see this is the peak, this is the blue light, and this is the red light. And this is 300 to 700 nanometer of the wavelength. And over here in the x-axis, there is the amount of O2. And this is what is called action spectrum. This is called as action spectrum. So বল কোন ওয়েভলেন্থে সবার থেকে বেশি অক্সিজেন রিলিজ হলো? তার মানে ফটোসিনথেসিস বেস্ট হয় কোন ওয়েভলেন্থে? ব্লু অ্যান্ড রেড লাইটে. অক্সিজেন ফটোসিনথেসিস হলে কি রিলিজ হবে? ऑक्सीजनটাকে মার্ক করবে কে? the aerobic bacteria वहां पे जाकर accumulate हो जाएंगे. बोलो समझ में आया कि नहीं आया? This was the test given by T.W. Engelmann. It's a very important experiment. T.W. Engelmann. ক্লিয়ার? চলো, সো টিটল এঙ্গেলমেন্ট আর ঢুকলাম না ভেতরে। ইয়েস, চলো নেক্সট ইজ হোয়াট? ভ্যান নিল, ফেমাস মাইক্রোবায়োলজিস্ট, famous microbiologist, Van Niel. Yes, Van Niel. Van Niel, he experimented with purple and green sulfur bacteria. Purple and green sulfur bacteria. Remember what they take up? H2O or H2S? H2S, okay. Niel demonstrated that photosynthesis is essentially a light-dependent reaction in which hydrogen, mind you, from a suitable oxidizable compound. Hydrogen from a suitable oxidizable compound reduces carbon dioxide to carbohydrate, that is glucose. So reduces carbon dioxide to glucose, converts carbon dioxide into glucose. So where from the hydrogen comes? What is the source of hydrogen for this carbon dioxide? The source of hydrogen is not water for green sulfur bacteria, but the source of hydrogen is H2O, water in higher plants. Bolo, higher plants say the source of hydrogen is what? Water. But in bacteria, especially green sulfur bacteria, they utilize this hydrogen sulfide as a hydrogen donor. বুঝলাম না তাহলে এই H2A as H2A plus CO2 কি হলো? 2A plus H2O, CH2O. What is this? Glucose plus water. It is key. What is H2A? What is A over here? Sulfur. So in green plants, H2O, in green plants, again I repeat, in green plants, water is hydrogen donor and is oxidized to what? Oxygen. So who is the hydrogen donor? K hydrogen donor. Water hochche hydrogen donor. Some organisms do not release O2 during photosynthesis. Eta kara? Green sulfur bacteria never. They are what kind of photosynthesis they show? As because ora oxygen release kore na, they are called anoxygenic photosynthesis. They show anoxygenic photosynthesis. They show anoxygenic photosynthesis. বল বুঝলাম না কোন অসুবিধা আছে বাবা? Yes, হয়েছে এটা? তাহলে এটা কার ছিল এক্সপেরিমেন্ট? A famous microbiologist named Van Niel. Early experiment থেকে খুবই সিম্পল, বাট তোর মনে রাখতে পর তোকে মনে রাখতে হবে what are the requirements আর এই টেস্টটা কে করেছিল, who did the test. ওকে, চলো নেক্সট ইজ what? কি লিখেছে? when hydrogen sulfide is used as hydrogen donor, when hydrogen sulfide is used as hydrogen donor for purple and green sulfur bacteria, the oxidation product is sulfur or sulfate depending on organism and not O2. তো কি রিলিজ করবে না? অক্সিজেন রিলিজ করবে না, কি ছাড়বে? সালফার। Clear? Or sulfates. Hence Niel conclude that O2 evolved by the green plants comes from water, not from carbon dioxide. This was later proved by using radioactive techniques. কি টেকনিক ছিল? ওয়াটারে, so what was the question? কার্বন ডাইঅক্সাইডের অক্সিজেনটাই কি বেরোয় এটা? Is this oxygen comes out from carbon dioxide or this oxygen comes out by the oxidation of water? এইটা রেডিওঅ্যাক্টিভ O18 দেওয়া হলো, ওয়াটারে রেডিওঅ্যাক্টিভ O18 কি পাওয়া গেল? The oxygen which is coming out is also having O18. বুঝলাম না তো এটা এই রেডিওঅ্যাক্টিভ টেকনিকে বোঝা গেল it is the water from which the oxygen comes out and this is the water which acts as a hydrogen donor in higher plants, in green plants. কোন অসুবিধা আছে জায়গাটা? ঠিক এই এক্সপেরিমেন্টেশনে তোর কেমিক্যাল ইকুয়েশন দিয়েছে তোর বইতে, একটু দেখে নিস। Yes, very good. Now note that this is not a single reaction but description of a multi-step process called photosynthesis. কোন অসুবিধা আছে এটুকু? Any issues? Let us solve some questions. আমরা site of photosynthesis পড়বো না আজকে, we're going to solve. আচ্ছা, যেটা বলছিলাম action spectrum. See 400 to 700 nanometer. And see in the blue and red you have got what? You have got rate of photosynthesis that is increased by oxygen release. দেখো এই গ্রাফটা দেখ, blue and red, that is 400 to 700. So blue comes first and then red, and you can see a peak over here. That is oxygen release বেশি হচ্ছে এখানে blue and red তে। একে কি বলা হয়? অ্যাকশন স্পেকট্রাম। কি বলা হয় এটাকে? What is called as action spectrum. ক্লিয়ার? আমরা এটাতে ঢুকবো না, নেক্সট দিন আমরা যাবো, তার আগে কয়টা কোশ্চেন্স করে নিই। আচ্ছা, কি পড়বো নেক্সট দিন আমরা? নেক্সট দিন we are going to talk about the chlorophyll structure even. আমরা ক্লোরোফিলের A আর B এর ডিফারেন্স পর্যন্ত আমরা দেখবো। We are going to see the structure of chlorophyll. This is the structure of chlorophyll. Now Ritam is going to tell me, Ritam is going to tell me what is there in between magnesium. This is the chlorophyll molecule. See, how many R group are there? R1, R2, R3. Think about it. And this is magnesium in between. We're going to talk about this structure next day. And we're going to talk about the difference between chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. Chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. See, chlorophyll A, chotto, C55H72O5N4 magnesium. What is common in both of them? Magnesium, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. Magnesium is there in the middle. This is the difference between C3, chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. We're going to talk about that. আচ্ছা, চল কিছু কোশ্চেন্স করে নি, চট করে রিভাইজ হয়ে যাবে যেগুলো আমরা আজকে পড়লাম। সো লেট আস ডু সাম কোশ্চেন্স। ইয়েস ইয়েস, জলদি করে দেখ তো পারিস কিনা। অক্সিজেন ইজ নট প্রডিউসড ইন photosynthesis by very good, green sulfur bacteria. Why? Because see, not produced, oxygen is not produced by the one which takes hydrogen sulfide as a hydrogen donor. Oxygen দেবে না। বাদ বাকি nostoc, chara and cycas. Cycas is gymnosperm, higher plant. Chara, green algae, একটু আগে বললাম তো Cd2R4, green algae. Nostoc is a blue green algae. Nostoc is a blue green algae. Green sulfur bacteria is the answer. Kire, বুঝলাম? So what is the answer? And it came in the year 2018. Clear? NEET examination. Okay. Okay, next question. Try this. Try this one. This one, the first one. Anoxygenic photosynthesis is characteristics of. Anoxygenic photosynthesis is characteristics of Rhodospirillum, Spirogyra, Chlamydomonas, alba. What is alba? Is an algae. Alba. Spirogyra is an algae. Chlamydomonas is algae. Which one is not algae? Is a bacteria. Anoxygenic. Rhodospirillum is the answer. Oxygenic photosynthesis is occurs in Chlorobium chromatium is a bacteria. Rhodospirillum is a bacteria. Which one is not bacteria? Oscillatoria is a blue green algae, and blue green algae performs oxygenic. So answer is oscillatoria. Correct. Answer is oscillatoria. কিরে বুঝলাম কেমন ধরনের প্রশ্ন কবে ছিল? 2010. Okay, which element is located at the center of the porphyrin in chlorophyll? কিরে লাস্ট মোমেন্ট ওটা দেখানোটা খুব ভালো হয়েছে। ম্যাগনেসিয়াম ইজ देयर in the middle. Okay, বাদ বাকি অনেকটা ব্যাপার আছে, porphyrin ring আমি পড়াবো নেক্সট দিন। Yes, protochlorophyll differs from chlorophyll in lacking. এটা পারবি না, এটা দরকার নেই, এটা নেক্সট দিন পড়বো। হ্যাঁ, Pyrrole rings কাকে বলা হয়, কটা হাইড্রোজেন অ্যাটম আছে, কটা হাইড্রোজেন, we will talk about that. Clear? Pyrrole rings, porphyrin ring, pyrrole ring. The core metal of chlorophyll is magnesium. Done. 9/10 of all photosynthesis of the world, 85 to 90% is carried out by large trees with millions of branches and leaves, algae of the ocean, chlorophyll containing ferns of the forest, scientists in the lab. Oh wow, great. এটা best ছিল। That was the answer. কি answer কোনটা? Algae of the ocean. 80 to 90% যে অক্সিজেনটা আমরা পাচ্ছি আজকে, that is due to the algae of the ocean. বিশালে মনে হচ্ছে না এয়ারফোর্সের ফরেস্ট, হ্যাঁ আমরা বেঁচে আছি এয়ারফোর্সের ওই ফরেস্ট আছে, লার্জ ট্রিজ উইথ মিলিয়ন্স অফ ব্রাঞ্চেস এন্ড yes, all types of plastids possess essentially the same structure because they all types of plastids possess essentially the same structure because they perform the same function. Store food materials like starch occur in aerial parts, can transform from one form to another. কোনো idea about plastid? Option B is the answer. Very good. Store food materials like starch, fat and protein. Starch প্লাস্টিড ক রকমের হয়? 3 রকমের। পড়বো আমরা সেল চ্যাপ্টারে। কি পড়বো? অ্যামাইলোপ্লাস্ট, অ্যালিউরোপ্লাস্ট এন্ড লাইপোপ্লাস্ট। অ্যামাইলোপ্লাস্ট স্টোরস কার্বোহাইড্রেট, লাইপোপ্লাস্ট স্টোরস ফ্যাটস, লিপিড থেকে লাইপো, আর থার্ড হচ্ছে অ্যালিউরোপ্লাস্ট স্টোরস প্রোটিন। We will talk about that. So answer is B. Which of the following experiments showed that carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis? Half leaf, variegated, Priestley, J. von Sachs. Half leaf, KOH. So answer is half leaf. Arijit, clear. In half leaf experiment, a compound is used which absorbs carbon dioxide. This compound is KOH. In the following hypothesis, plants restore, that word ধরে দিল পুরো, NCERT লাইন বাই লাইন ধরে দিয়েছে। The following hypothesis, plants restore to the air whatever breathing animals and burning candles remove, was given by Joseph Priestley. Clear? Restore Priestley. Okay, kire term দেখেছিস? Okay. Which of the following scientists showed that it is only the green part of the plants that would release oxygen? Indian house? Green parts? Chlorophyll? Great. Who found that the green parts in plants is where glucose is made and that the glucose is usually stored as starch? Julius von Sachs. কি রে, ভুলে গেলি গ্লুকোজ as starch? ভুলে গেলে হবে না, জুলিয়াস ভ্যান স্যাক্স। Yes, Sachs. কিরে এইটার পরে আর্লি এক্সপেরিমেন্ট স্যাক্স, এই তো এটা জুলিয়াস ভ্যান স্যাক্স। গ্লুকোজ ইজ ইউজুয়ালি স্টোরড অ্যাজ, হয়েছে না হয়নি? আজকে একটু থাকবে, বোঝা গেল? পড়া আর at the same time কোশ্চেন সলভ করা। till the time you are not solving questions তুই বুঝবি না যে কতটা তুই বুঝেছিস আর কতটা তুই দিতে পারবি। ঠিক আছে? So next day we are going to talk about the site of photosynthesis. That means we are going to talk about chloroplast structure, we will talk about chlorophyll structure. ঠিক আছে? আজকে থাকবে।